Hey everybody, it's Big D with Bikes and Boom. It is time for part 2 of my review of my 2025 Indian Roadmaster. And if you didn't get a chance to check out my video on part 1, make sure you do that, because I'll cover all of the other things that I didn't cover in this one. I wanted to divide this into 2 simply because I didn't want to make like a 1-hour video. So I want to start with this kickstand right here. So I put it up. You guys hear that? When you put this thing down, it just flies into place and it locks. I have never had a kickstand on any motorcycle that I know 100% every time I kick it down that it's down all the way. And I absolutely love that about this bike. Now, I want to talk about the lighting. I'm going to start it up here. So this is the front lighting, and you'll notice everything is LED on the front and the back of the motorcycle. But you got your LED headlight, you got your LED accent lights, which I call the shark teeth, on the outside of the headlight. You've got your lower fairing fog lamps, which, because they add so much visibility, I just run those all the time. And this is the new updated Indian headdress LED light. It used to be a kind of a round head that lit up, but this is the new one, and I really like this design. I really think it makes the bike look a lot more sleek. Now, if we move around to the back, those fog lamps really work well too. So here's your back lights. So this is your main brake light. This is brake and turn signal on these two, and then these are accent lights only. Now, one of the things that I've heard from a lot of people, like on Challengers and Chieftains, bikes that aren't full dress, right? They've only got these 4 lights, and I do wish Indian would have made these brake and turn signal and as well, and not just these. But if you've got a full dress bike, either the Pursuit or the Roadmaster, since you got the big light above, the lighting in the back is really, really good. Also, when you first start the motorcycle, I don't know if you guys can tell, it's still pretty light outside, but you get an accent light that lights up underneath the bike, and that stays lit until you shift the bike into gear. So if you have your key fob going, right, and you hit unlock like you're approaching it in a dark parking lot or whatever, the bottom of the motorcycle illuminates, so you can find the bike and see the footrests and everything really easy. Now, one of the other very unique things about the new Power Plus bikes is this right here. Believe it or not, behind this panel is the battery. It's not under the seat. I've done a little research, and from what I can tell, Indian did this for accessibility and for weight distribution, but I've never had a battery this easy on a motorcycle to access. You literally just take out those 2 bolts right there, and you can replace it, charge it, whatever you need to do. So another function of this bike is through the ride command system and on the seats, both independently, the front passenger seat and the rider seat and the rear seat are independently heated. And you can turn them up and down, or you can activate them and turn them up and down through the ride command system itself. When they are on, a red LED light lights up on the seat over here that's turned on. And of course, it also has heated grips. So believe it or not, between the heated seats and the heated grips, and of course the full dress fairing, upper and lower fairing, you have a lot of wind protection and comfort when it comes to heat. The coldest day this spring that I rode this to work was 8 degrees. Yeah, that's 8, not 80 or 18. And with that heated seat and heated grips, had my layers on and my full face helmet. I was warm as toast. So that's one of the other things I love about this bike is since I live in North Dakota, I want to be able to ride it and extend my riding season. And I can do that both in the early spring and late fall. So now one thing that I don't like is my previous Roadmaster was an Elite model. And on the Elite models, all of the controls on the handlebars are backlit. So each one of these emblems lights up at night, okay? But on the regular models, you don't have that option. It's only on the Elite models, from what I was able to find out online. And I got really used to that in my old bike. And so when it's dark, you kind of need to know where your controls are to use them. You get a little bit of backlighting because the speakers light up. They're a kind of a light blue color, and of course the gauges and stuff. But I do wish, and that's an upgrade. I checked with my dealership, and I can, for $1,000, they can install the backlit controls, and I may end up doing that. Now, just so you are aware of what these are, right? So this is your horn, high and low beam, turn signal left and right, which is on the same side. That's different, obviously, than a Harley. This is so you can fast forward and pause your music. And this is to scroll through the screen. And then there's also a button on the back that you can scroll left to right through all of the ride command screens. Power, engine shut off, start. This is your cruise control system here. And this is the control to put your power windshield up and down. Now, by the way, here's the LED lights for the blind spot monitoring. But I like to have the windshield up in this position here when I'm riding out on the interstate, because that puts the flare high enough that it actually goes completely above my head. When I lower it down to about here, this is like everyday riding. And it's still really comfortable. The other advantage to having it up is you do have that vent. So if it's really warm outside, it does give you some extra air in the cockpit. But of course, all the Indian models, other than like the Scouts and stuff, have that windshield, that power windshield, and I've really grown to love that a lot. This bike also has rear cylinder deactivation. So and it's an option, you can turn it on or off. But if you turn it on, when the bike gets up to full temperature, like you're sitting in a stoplight or a red light, the rear cylinder closest to the seat will deactivate. And it does reduce the heat coming off the engine quite dramatically. It also improves the fuel economy considerably. But if you don't want to use it, obviously you can let both cylinders run. I typically let both cylinders run for most of the year. I only do the rear cylinder deactivation when it's really, really hot outside. As far as fuel economy, there's my wife, Angie. Angie, say hi. There's my daughter, Annabelle. Say hi, Ann. And this is, well, that's Yoshi, the cat. Yoshi is larger than many dogs. And he kind of is just let you do whatever you want with him. He just kind of goes limp. So I haven't got Yoshi on the motorcycle yet. We're working on that. Yoshi, are you getting motorcycle? So let's talk about fuel economy. So I have noticed that as the bike gets broke in, again, I've had it for, since March, and I've got just a hair under 7,000 miles on it. But I have noticed that the fuel economy is slowly, as the bike breaks in, the fuel economy is improving, which I think is pretty standard with any new engine. But right now, around town, I'm averaging about 35, and out on the highway, I average around 40. Now, out on the highway, if I'm doing really high speeds or in really high winds, that fuel economy will drop from 40 down to as low as 35 or 34. But it typically runs between 38 and 40 out on the highway, which, considering the size of this engine, is pretty good. Obviously, we don't have pegs, we have footrests, right? And the passenger has footrests as well. So very, very comfortable. They're very large too. I have a size 13 riding boot and fits on there very, very comfortably. So last but not least, I want to give a shout out to a couple people, or two groups of people. The first is Action Motorsports in South Central North Dakota, which is where I bought this bike. It's where I bought my last Indian and even the Goldwing that I had before that bike. So I bought 3 motorcycles from them. And, in my collective motorcycle experience, which goes back almost 4 decades now, I've never had customer service like this dealership gives me. So shout out to Action Motorsports and Josh and Kelby and everybody there. Thank you guys for the amazing job that you do. And finally, I want to give a shout out to Indian. I had a couple of minor things that were going on with getting my ride command system all synced up when I first bought the bike. And I called Indian customer service. They were phenomenal. They helped me right away. And what I was most impressed about is they reached out to me like 60 days or 45 days or something after it was solved and said, hey, is everything still going okay? And is there anything else we can do for you? And I must be in their system as a vet. By the way, Indian has amazing benefits for vets when you buy a bike. I'm just telling you that right now. But they also thank me for my service. I must be in their system. And that was really cool. So that's my part 2 of my bike. Again, it doesn't matter, what kind of bike you choose to ride, whether it be Harley or Honda or anything else. Just pick the bike that you connect with and that you love and ride that machine. If the roads are dry and the temperature is above about 10 degrees, I'm on my bike because I just love it that much. Can't. The other thing you'll notice here is this is a Roadmaster Power Plus Darkhorse, right? And in fact, my daughter, who is an artist, did this Darkhorse emblem on here for me, which I think is really, really cool. But of course, that means that it's blacked out. The pipes and the engine are blacked out instead of chrome. And I like it. First non-chrome bike that I've ever owned, but I think it looks really, really nice. And more importantly, this thing runs like no machine I've ever owned. So thank you all, and we will talk to you soon.